Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 6 of Curly Confessions. It is your host, Kayla, and I'm excited to be here with you for the 6th episode. I'm sorry I took a couple days off just because competition literally kicked my butt. And also, there was so much going around with like family and friends. I needed the time, same with my family. So we kind of just took a little break from filming and doing stuff like that. But now we're back with video and audio today. So I'm excited to be here. I feel like this episode is really for people who are going through it. And I am one of those girls who are going through it right now. This season is really, really hard for me. January, February, and December, I went in a weird order. The beginning of the year and the end of the year, technically the end because of November and January and February are really, really difficult months for me. This is when all my craziness happened, and especially it's finally been a year, but it doesn't get better, but it gets different every year. And I'm obviously better from it, and yes, and that stuff, but trying to learn how to navigate positively through months where it's very, very difficult. I think that is something that a lot of people go through, and it's really, really hard sometimes. So that is what today's episode is about. I do have my iPad right here with me, so bear with me if I look down like this. But today's episode is kind of going to be based on how to navigate kindness and love through difficult times. Kindness and love are huge things, very big things. I feel like when we're here on this earth, that kind of makes us into the people that we are and the foundations that we need to continue to be better people. And going through difficult seasons can be a challenge. It also could be sad. It also could be filled with grief and happiness. It's a weird combobulation of so many emotions. So today's episode is going to be how we navigate through those challenges. So before we begin, I want to just dive in and talk about some personal experiences that have made me show more kindness and people gave kindness to me through difficult times. The first one was I was at a dance competition, and this was the same time around now. Literally, it's going to be a year this weekend, like going back to that competition. But I had a friend that has grown up with me in dance for a very long time. And before I actually went with her to this dance competition, we sat down and during Christmas break, we sat down and had like just some coffee and caught up because we haven't caught up in a long time. And when we're sitting with each other, we just started talking, and I told her how I was dealing with anxiety, and it was nice to hear how somebody who has anxiety too kind of deals with it and navigates with it, and I felt less alone. But I remember when we were at competition, I was really stressed out, and especially when you have, guys, my sister's in here, especially when you have a lot of emotions and stuff, and you're a teacher, so you have to be responsible, and you have all these kids around you, it can be very difficult to navigate. And she was standing outside with me while I was helping the kids prep dance. And she took it upon herself just to kind of like step in and intervene. And she was like, hey guys, let's get this together. And she took the music, took control. And I was like, oh my goodness, because she knew. Like, I feel like also because when you dance with somebody for a long time and when you're friends with somebody for a long time in the dance world, you see things from other people. Like, you can know when someone's stressed out on your team. And she took it upon herself just with a little bit of kindness to help me out. Like, I didn't ask or anything, and I'm glad I didn't, because at that time I didn't know how to ask for help really. So it was good to kind of see like when people are going through difficult situations and like going through a tough time, just giving out that helping hand. And that's what she did. And I really appreciated that because it calmed me down and it made me kind of recenter myself and ground myself into being better and kinder to other people, as also seeing how much kindness affects you as a person, having that positive energy. But now we're going to dive in. So something that's very important to know is that when you're going through a difficult time, it's really hard to be kind while we're struggling. It's really hard. I remember going through all the things that I've gone through, and I was in a very negative light, and I had to positively remind myself the person that I am, the woman that God has me turning into, and just trying to get into a place where, even though I'm in a negative headspace, how to flip that around. And in the beginning, it was really hard. It was really hard to stay positive because the amounts of stress that I was under, I was less patient, I was not kind. And also, when you're going through that amount of pain, it's really, really hard. And I used to think, like, how can all these people around me be happy and bubbly and excited and living life normally while I'm going through so much pain? And it makes no sense. And I had to positively remind myself, like, hey, we're all living in our own different places, and yes, people are going to be upset, especially that. It doesn't take away from the fact of your own feelings, and our feelings are valid in that sense, but you have to also understand they did nothing to you, like, I'm just causing myself more pain and hurting that relationship, and also causing that person when I could even show my kindness through them. And I'm telling you, some days aren't easy. Some days are hard. Some days you don't know how you're going to get through it. Some days are easier than others, where it just goes plainly and you're like, oh my gosh, today was really good. And then the next day it hits you like a rock. So pain and suffering and stress are all kind of in a big ball, but how you navigate through it is a really big thing. And choosing kindness through a difficult time is huge too. So you just need to make sure, even when it's hard and even when you don't want to, and it feels like it's like at the bottom of your to-do list of the day, just be kind and try to be kind through it. It's really, really hard. I feel like God helps the people who are the kindest and show their tenacity through difficult times, especially on times when you can't even imagine. I feel like it makes us into stronger people. You could look at a person and see all the suffering and trials and tribulations that they've went through, and they continue to be kind. Just really shows on of their character, and that's, I think, are the biggest people. And to be that person, I strive to be that person. Like, no matter what, I'm going to continuously turn the cheek and continue to be positive and kind, rather to let the pain consume me, because it just hurts you as a person. And I feel like when you try to strive to be better, even in difficult times, just boosts your confidence and boosts you going through other trials and tribulations too. Because if you could get through this, you could get through anything, especially if you are in your faith and you're a believer. Especially when God sees the trials that you go through, he anoints you in that way too. So just continuously push yourself through those trials, because it really does happen. um and yeah, I feel like that's just a huge thing, and I feel like it's very big and a positive thing to get through. And yeah, another thing that I thought about was also, instead of choosing resentment and pain, kind of going into choosing understanding. And I feel like God says never lean on your own understanding, but the understanding that you gain from things that, like, you actually know that you gain, instead of trying to like really deep down and understand a situation. Because I would try to understand my feelings when I didn't even know what they were. I would try to understand how other people would be there for me when they weren't. And it just kind of gets into you start to resent people, to resent your place and what you're doing. So what I liked to do during that time is, like, for example, I resented for a little bit being a dance teacher, because I was like, I have so many kids depending on me. I can't get my situation under control. I feel like I have to help at home. I'm an older sister, so taking care of my sister, also like taking her places, my grandpa too. Like, I'm the only one, like, with my, at that time, my school schedule, where I had open to really, I was like a sole caregiver in a sense. And I resented work for a while, because I was like, so much was riding on me. And what I had to kind of do is kind of have to take a step back and understand, like, hey, what can I understand from this situation? I understand that I'm going through a tough time. How I understand my feelings. I'm feeling pain. I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling anxiety and depression. And I want to be in a deep, dark hole. And I also understand that in this situation, I'm not okay. So from taking that, instead of being like, I was resenting for a while, to take a step back and be like, you know what? I understand that I'm a dance teacher going through a tough time with my anxiety right now, but I'm going to choose kindness and I'm going to choose positivity and be like, hey, these kids are coming to take my class because they want to learn from me. what can I do to be a positive person for them? Also, when I'm going through this tough time, dance has been my first love. I started at a young age, so maybe take my understanding of dance and put it into a positive outlet and a kindness outlet and help other kids who are going through it as well. Because I didn't know this year, but I helped a couple kids through anxiety during the studio, being at the studio and dealing with kids, which was like really good for me because I was like, it kind of healed a part in me and also helped in a way, and dealing with certain situations and stuff like that. Especially like some of my kids at the studio are like, they have a good faith foundation, so they come up and talk to me about it. So like helping them in that aspect and like kind of trying to show God's kindness through me and the learning that I've gained from that to help them has also healed me and also has made me into I feel like a better believer. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, God put these situations and I kind of went through with it in a way and continued my faith instead of giving up and choosing to still be kind throughout it. And so there's a lot of things that I feel like kind of make us into a whole. And I feel like kindness through tribulations, like I said, and trying to gain understanding from your trials is a huge thing. And I feel like, especially being faith-based, I realize like, oh yeah, I'm going through these trials right now, but they're here for a reason. And God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. So him giving me that situation and people or friends and stuff like that has kind of made me into the person I am now, and choosing to be kind and loving through all this stuff. Like friend breakups hard, relationship breakups hard, people breakups hard, loss, wins, like literally everything can make it hard, and dealing with mental things or physical things, like doctor visits, things that don't go right. And I feel like a lot of people in situations like this tend to turn away from faith as a whole and kindness and love when things go wrong, because I feel like people like to blame God and be like, why did God let this happen when he wants peace and love and he wants us to do this? Or why did God let that person hurt me for so long, or not intervene in the way he wants? And I feel like God gets blamed for things like that, and that is all not true. You know, God does work through kindness and love, and yeah, bad things happen, but God gave us free will. If I wanted to go hit my sister right now, I could go and hit my sister. God doesn't control us in that way. He gave us free will so we could willingly come to him and love him as a person. He wants us to choose him, but he gives us a life to live as well. So I feel like going through things like this, yeah, it's hard to not blame and resent things in that way and be like, oh, why did this happen? Or I blame that person and this and that, you know, like you get really, really in situations of stress and pain, you get really, really angry. And I feel like when that happens, you have to understand, like, even like, for example, like me, if God had this happen, he gave me something that I could handle. He knows that we're a lot stronger than we think. He knows the power that we have individually. So, or even not, if you really are like, hey, like, I'm really going through it and I don't understand why this keeps happening to me, there's a plan set in place for your life, even if you believe it or not. And if you push through with kindness and love, I feel like more things benefit you in that way. And I feel like life gives you a better hand in that way of continuing to show kindness and love, because the amount of people you could touch, the amount of people that could lean on you, and the amount of love that you give really just shows you as a person. And I strive to be that person every day, and I fall short, I do well, and it's kind of a learning thing. You're not 100% perfect, but what you could do is just continuously push to be kind and to love more. Now, we're going to go into my favorite part of the section. This one is kind of a little bit of a faith-based one, I would say, but it's true. And I love talking about my faith. It's a huge part of my life. And I never want to pressure anybody into believing what they want to believe. But on my podcast, I like to be open about what I believe in. Sorry, foot fell asleep. And what I believe in, and kind of just talk about how God has shaped me being kind and loving in these situations. So the first thing we're going to talk about is finding strength through faith, gratitude, and a higher purpose. So faith, me coming into it, especially being 2 years in, but like I would say a whole year faithfully devoted into it, I feel like finding strength was hard. Especially, I feel like as a new believer in Christ and in Jesus and being in my faith, I've realized that I'm still learning strength and I'm nowhere near perfect. And I continuously learn every day to build strength. Right now, I'm in one of my toughest seasons, and to have strength, I felt like I put on a front for a little bit, but I was like kind of going through the motions. And I told my mom the other night, I was like, Mom, I'm still struggling in ways. And we had a good long talk, and I'm glad my mom's in her faith too, because we kind of talked about it, and just like I needed her strength, especially her strength and her faith, to kind of push me into being full of kindness and love. As well as that, just leaning on God more and more has helped me just to push myself and have the strength to continue each day, especially like when I have negative thoughts or I'm not feeling okay or I'm doubting myself. I kind of try to play God's words in my head. And I don't know if you guys know him. His name is Bryce. I don't know his last name, but he's on TikTok. And I remember, I forget what it says. I'm going to find this. He said, hold up, let me find it.
Are you tired of your daily routine lacking curls and confessions? Do you find yourself tirelessly scrolling through social media, yearning for a chance to listen to some curly wisdom? Well, I have news for you. Introducing the Curly Confessions Instagram page. It contains all things curly, quirky, and confessional. Follow us for some behind the scenes, see my adventures, and my misadventures. Do you lie awake wondering, what does Kayla do when she's not recording her podcast? Well, wonder no more. Follow my personal Instagram page, Kayla M. Raymond, to find out all fun things that I do behind the scenes of my daily life. But don't miss out and hit that follow button. Thank you for listening to my Justin. Now back to you, Kayla.
Everyone, I made the biggest no-no of my life. I paused it while I was looking for the video, and I recorded for the rest of the 45 minutes of it, and I realized I had no audio. So we're jumping in brand new, and I'm sorry, but I forgot what I said about Bryce and all of that because I was just going off the dome. But we are just going to jump right in and just talk about what I left off on. And the good thing is I feel like even I had some time to reflect a little bit too, and just see what I said and also fix what I said too, and just kind of go into it. But what I was going to say is, I don't know what part that we're on, but I'm just going to finish off on the last section that I was talking about. And the last section that I was talking about is how to navigate love and kindness towards each other through faith. And I feel like faith is a huge thing for me. It might not be for you, or it might be for you. And I'm never going to pressure, but I want to show God's love through me, Jesus' love through me. And so I can understand if that is not something that you believe or that you're not comfortable with. I totally understand. But I do want to show God's love because ultimately God chooses, God wants us to come to him naturally and from us, not force. So I never want to force, but I will talk about God and Jesus and everything that he does for me. So how to show love and kindness. Sorry, I was sitting on a pillow. How to show love and kindness through faith. It's hard sometimes, but it's also the most easiest thing. I feel like it's harder to be mean than it is to be nice. I don't know if that's you, but for me, I think it's harder to be mean than it is to be nice. But God really shows us his love and his kindness every day. And I feel like with Jesus dying on the cross and showing the disciples and showing the world who he was, he showed love and kindness throughout everything. When he was going through pain and suffering, still love and kindness. When people did not like him, still love and kindness. When, like, I think, like, being young, Jesus died at 30, right? And it's like, it's crazy to me, like, just even me being 22, just thinking like, oh, I have 8 more years, until I'm 30. It's kind of like crazy to think how time has flied by, but he continued to show love through trials, tribulation, and continued to show his strength through it too. And it's just crazy. When, like, it's just crazy to think like Jesus was down here on earth living a life like all of ours, still dealt with temptation, still dealt with all this stuff, but it did not bother him one bit. Yeah. Like, even like the devil tried to tempt him to, like, he's like, jump off the cliff to prove that you are God's child, because he'll for sure save you. Like, Jesus did not let any of that bother him. And he was still kind to, like, people. Like, I think at the lady of the well, I think about the people that he would visit with the disciples, the people that were unclean, and even like, I forget, not the fountain. Why can I not remember it? I can't remember, but when Jesus went to like that watering hole where like all the like, what was it? Was it I forget the name of it, but when he made the man pick up his mat and walk, like, think of all the people that like felt like they didn't have kindness and love, and he showed it through everything. Loss, love, grief, happiness, literally everything, and hate. And he showed so much love even through pain. Like, it's just crazy to think that like somebody went through all that and continue to show love and kindness. And I feel like that is a great representation and a great example of how to show love and kindness each day throughout grief and struggle and pain and trials and tribulations. He did it all. He conquered the world before we could, okay, y'all? So like, just having that knowledge and that strength, and try to show that. And I feel like God sent Jesus down here for an example, right? And so him being our example and showing us love and him dying for our sins, like, it's crazy. And for him to show us that and show us how to lead a life to bridge that space. He's that bridge between us and God, right? Jesus is. And showing us the way to live and how to be kind, I feel like it's a huge thing. And it's big, and it's crazy to think that he was here, and he's with us all the time, and God's with us at all times. So just to continue showing love and kindness it could be difficult. And I've been through times where I didn't want to show love and kindness, and I just want to be alone or not want to deal with things or deal with my emotions and try to get through life with pain and agony and strife and struggling. It doesn't work. It hurts you more than it uplifts you. And trust me, it's hard. It's not easy. And I'm telling you from experience, try to pick yourself up every day is hard. It really is. It's not an easy task. It's not simple. It's not fun. And sometimes it gets tiring thinking that, like, I got so emotionally and physically tired sometimes when I felt like I had to knowing I had to pick myself up every day and keep going. And some days I question it, and some days I do good. And it gets easier because of God's love, and knowing that hope is a foundation of future. The way hope is my foundation for my future in God, and knowing that He's there for me always, and to continuously push and to be better is amazing. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to be here and to live a life knowing of Him and stuff like that. And just trying to continuously walk down that line that He shows is hard. It's the narrow path. It's the path that nobody follows. It's hard, especially being 22. Like, kindness and love is hard, especially being young. Like, to think about, I went to high school now almost 5 years ago, and I'm out of high school now. And to think, like, right, 5 years or 4 years, I don't know, one or the other, but like, I was just out of high school, college and everything like that. It's hard to think, like, there is sometimes not that much kindness and love in those spaces as much as you want it to be. I feel like I'm glad I didn't, I found Jesus the way I did. I think He showed me a lot of kindness and love throughout high school without knowing Him that well. I look back in my life and I see a lot of things and a lot of times where I'm like, how did I get through that? Or what the heck is going on? And I could just now, like, being older and more wiser, obviously I'm not 16, 17, 18 anymore. And reading my Bible and understanding the way God helps in certain ways and shows, like, Himself in certain ways. I could see how His hand touched me with His love and kindness at that point. And then also being in college too, I've learned. And I feel like people now, or like, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes, even in today's day and age, I feel like there's not that much love, and there's so much hate, and to show love is hard. And I feel like people assume and are angry and mad, and it's just hard. It's really hard. And it gets difficult sometimes to show your kindness and love, especially like when the world gets divided and it hurts and it's hard. And as much as I fight for the things that I believe in, and the things that I love and I care for, and it gets difficult sometimes to be kind and loving, and to see other people be so hateful and not kind to other people. It really hurts sometimes. And to not see the love there for people, especially being like the way I am and the way I look and stuff like that, and trying to show love and kindness in a time where people now, to me, are more vocal about how they feel. It can be hard to show kindness and love. And so I, like, growing up, I used to get told I was the angry brown girl, because I was aggressive in soccer, and I was the outgoing friend, and I was too loud. And it's so crazy because I watched the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, and to see, like, too loud and all this stuff, it like hit me, because I was like, oh my goodness, like, you know. And even when people say hurtful things and are mean to me, and don't want the best for me, and don't see the best for me, and it's hard, but I'm glad I have God's love to, like, shelter me and hold me and reassure me. And I think the biggest thing is I'm still kind to those people. We're all God's children, no matter what. And that's what I believe in. And so I just choose to be kind. And it hurts. It doesn't mean I don't stop fighting for what I believe in or anything like that. But I don't let those situations hurt me anymore. I choose to be kind and loving and to continue showing my love and kindness to people, and to keep pushing for hope and strength and all that. So it gets hard sometimes. Like, I get choked up sometimes about it, because sometimes it's hard to keep fighting and it's hard to keep going. But I'm glad that God's love really just shows me the strength that I could have, because Jesus did it and conquered the world. And we biblically, even if you're in your faith or not, I feel like people know Jesus' story and the the steps of how he got from when he was born to when he died and got resurrected from the dead after 3 days. Sorry, everyone. My camera literally bugged out because of the storage. But what I was saying is, Jesus' story through the Bible has been around for so long and is known by so many others. And you could just see Jesus' love and kindness through him. And I'm glad I have him as a lovely reminder and a role model to continuously show love and kindness to other people as well as receive it. But since the episode is coming to an end, I want to just give you guys some verses to reflect on. So the first one from Psalm is Psalm 73, verse 26. My flesh and my heart will fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. The next one is Psalm 71, verse 20. You who have made me see many troubles and calamities will revive me again. From the depths of the earth, you will bring me up again. The last one from this book is from Mark 5, verse 34, and Mark 5, verse 36. And he said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace, your suffering is over. Don't be afraid, just have faith. And the last one is about love. And it says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8. So I hope these verses resonate with you, and I hope this episode resonates with you. And if you guys have anything to talk to me about, please DM me or type in the comments. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for Curly Confessions. Bye, everyone.